It's on, man.
And I just got paid. It's time to be my nigga. Why? Either one. The hate. Hit me with a quarter ounce, but a 25. And before I bend the wind with the pump when I'm out. Bend blunt on the bar, give it a strike of light. Smoking on the blunt, passing the distance, it do the miss.
Man, straight dude. Once again, it goes up to my nigga BLE. Psycho.
My fucking memory, keeping it up through my lung has got my bitch so misery. Say in the glove right next to my ashtray. Hey, I got to say that this shit is really crazy. Every day, all the time, I have to smoke a say. Chill back like a man, then maybe I have to write that check. Do go wrong in the zone, in the fucking war zone. Bitches don't wanna deal with me with a gun, makes my mind. Shit, I hate that shit. Trick, take the bottle out of Zizek, Mr. Daily Weed spit. Lay back like the DLE. I love the Mac. Sipping gin and juice, smoking a dime sack.
Gotta say what's up to my bitch. Let your beef random woman and shit about it,
Look at all these OGs showing up. What the fuck is up? News Underground. News Underground. I am Abandoned Nihilism, aka the Harbinger. We were just listening to, what was that? NGK 999 with Chief in Session. Ironically, I was just participating in one, if you wouldn't believe it. If you could hold back your shock and surprise. I gotta fix these glasses, man. Nothing makes you look more, like, fucked up than when your glasses slide down. And the reason why they do this is because I was in a hurry. I didn't have time for them to, like, size the glasses up. So it's just default, you know, they blast it with a heat gun and they'll like shrink it, you know, to your head. Nothing makes you look more like a wasted drunkard, like, There's 100% Abandoned as a folder with random videos to play at the start. It's all YouTube, homie. None of this stuff is saved on my computer. Only the stuff like the clouds in the background, you know, like this stuff. That's a video file on my computer. You know, this is the old Sky. This is the other Sky that I used to use, but I didn't like it. It's only like a 1 minute loop, so I didn't like how jarring it was. So I switched over to this procedural one. Welcome back, Strategy. Welcome back, Leon. Welcome back, Woke Patriot. Welcome back, Snowmo Pro, who's just enjoying a nice leisurely swim in the Boston Harbor. Sorry, Baltimore Harbor. Wait. Yeah, Baltimore. Yeah, what the fuck? I'm learning. I'm catching up. I completely ignored geography my entire life. What does it matter? What does it matter? And then I started paying attention to the world. I'm like, oh, it actually really matters, like big time. So folks, we're going to be doing a quick update on the bridge, and we're going to show this amazing video. I think that was provided by you, Woke Patriot. Slavo Zizek, blah, 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 blah. Slavo Zizek talking to Piers Morgan, who is just a hack, but he's an interesting hack. It's almost like I don't know what it is, man. It's like Piers Morgan has one shred of dignity and shame that he just can't destroy within him for some reason, and he can't just go full, right-wing hack like most of them. There's just one shred of decency, and he's like, well, maybe the Palestinians are human. Maybe. I'm just saying maybe.
Cool it with the anti-Semitic remarks.
And it kind of sets him, it like pushes him a little closer to the middle compared to his contemporaries. Very into National Geographic maps, so I learned geography. See, I wasn't doing any of that. I was playing video games, dude. Straight up. As soon as I got a Nintendo, I was plugged into that bitch. Thank you for following the Orlean. It keeps going to this. That's so funny. I like it. What I don't like is people dying in a disaster that, I'm not, it's a really big ship, okay? It's a really, really big ship. Really heavy ass ship. Yeah, strategy. I don't even remember having a geography class in my high school in Michigan. I don't ever recall studying geography even a day in high school. Piers, the guy who's famous for allowing hacking of dead children's phone. Yeah, I mean, just total scumbag, right? But he's doing his own show. He's had representatives from Hamas, representatives from Palestine. He's had Cenk Uygur on several times to have debates with defenders of Israel's ethnic cleansing. So, like I said, there's like a shred, there's like some fiber of shame that still exists within Piers Morgan that requires him to still emulate what an actual journalist would do. But don't get it twisted. We all know where Piers Morgan stands, right? Let's not get it twisted about who we're dealing with. Wonder how big the ship even got in that place near the bridge. I mean, it's near the bridge. It's an everyday thing for decades. He just missed it by a few feet. He was trying to go into the center underneath the bridge. Everyday thing. So Baltimore bridge collapse. Rescuers search water after ship collision here. So looking like the trucks that we saw that were up there were, and I hate to report on this, man, because it really is just the worst. They were construction workers, doing some road work. But those were the vehicles that we saw catching air as the bridge completely collapsed. So the ship sent out a mayday. The cops at the ends got the mayday, but these regular Joes who were probably busting their ass, they probably had no idea what was going on. They weren't on the radio. There wasn't, there's like, why would they be hearing a naval mayday? Why would that be relevant to them? Can you imagine you're digging a hole in some asphalt and you're like, hear you, mayday, we got a problem on the harbor. Like, shut that shit off. Like, I don't fucking care. I'm fixing a sewer 60 miles away. Unfortunately, 6 people died. There was one survivor, some tough as nails son of a bitch who refused medical help, dusted his ass off, and went home. He's all soaking, right? He's soaked with water. He's like, okay, we're gonna go to the hospital. He's like, no, I'm going home. I'm fine. Just to give you an idea, salt of the earth kind of dudes that got caught up in this, man. I mean, totally full blown innocent. I don't care who you're voting for. You know, you're blue collar, you're out there. But these guys got up at what, 3 o'clock in the morning? You know, they got some crazy schedule. You know, went to bed at like 6 o'clock, you know, 6 p.m. Went to bed so they could wake up at 3 to get their ass out there before traffic is heavy and they can finish the work. And that's how you go out. They better build a statue of these dudes. You know what I'm saying? There better be a fucking statue on the new bridge for these construction workers that got caught up in this. No joke. Major bridge collapse. Yeah, we all know. Plunging cars and as many as 20 people into the river below. So there's more than one survivor. Wow, 20 people. Rescuers were searching for survivors. As many as 20 people could be in the river along with numerous vehicles and possibly a tractor trailer or a vehicle as large as a tractor trailer that went into the river. This is a mass casualty multi-agency event. Okay, so the 6 people I'm referencing are just the ones that are maybe known dead. Live video posted on YouTube, just the ones that they've been able to pull out, tragically. Live video posted on YouTube showed the ship plunging into the bridge, into the bridge in the darkness. Yeah, yep, we all know all that. Headlights. Yep, lights went out. Looks like the engine blew out, like something blew out, just a total cut. And then I think the emergency system kicked in, and it was already too late. A very similar thing happened to me. Not similar in terms of the amount of death. But in terms of physics, I was driving my vehicle. The roads in Michigan roads, icy, you know, everything's ice. Salt guy isn't out there. The salt guys hit the freeway first before they hit the inside of a city or a town. So it still hasn't hit the salt yet. So I'm taking a left, right? I'm doing like 5 miles an hour. No, you know, barely anything. I take a left, and I catch a patch of ice, right? My car loses grip just for a second in the perfect angle. And that's all it took. There was I was completely out of control, right? The momentum had started, and at 5 miles an hour, I you know, hitting the brake, doing everything I could with the gas and the steering wheel. I'm sliding into this big ass, you know, fuck you truck with a big ass bumper, right? That goes right into my engine, kills my car immediately. The entire car destroyed. 5 miles an hour. Slow motion car crash. But it was that perfect scenario, right? I was at the perfect angle, perfect momentum, right into it. And that's what we have here. Total freak accident. Unless you're a right winger, then you got to somehow make this about racism. Stay with me. Stay with me. You're like, come on. No. So the right wing is saying this somehow has something to do with DEI, which, what does that stand for? DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion. This tragedy has something to do with diversity, equity, and inclusion. We're giving black people too many breaks, and it's causing bridges to collapse. I'm not kidding. That's what's happening on Twitter right now. Remember when the baseless accusations meant career suicide? Now it's half these people build their career. Another really clever person here, with a big hairdo. The quote-unquote college is a scam crowd on here arguing with engineers about bridges. 100%. Woke Patriot posted a really great article, by the way, from a scientist. Is that this one? Is that actually this one? No, this is from Scientific America. Yeah, this one I have here is from Reuters. But yeah, no, check out this Woke Patriot article here, where he linked it. I don't think he wrote it. No, it's the same goddamn article. Okay, it is. Okay, weird. So this is a Reuters article being reposted from within Scientific America, but Archive is showing it just as Reuters. They just cut the shit out. Interesting. Wow. We're learning things today. But no, this is the article right here. Path of the ship that collided, ship departed. Yeah, so I mean, as you can see, it's a very common thing to be crossing under this bridge. Two different authors. Okay, I'm completely confused. Whatever. The operation going to extend multiple days. Yep, YouTube video. Yes. Said X on its personnel were on scene. Yeah, okay, the FBI's there. Blah, blah, blah. We got information on the ship. People were horrified. Blah, 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 blah. So more than 40 ships remain inside Baltimore Port, including small cargo ships, tugboats, and pleasure craft. Data from the ship tracking and maritime analytics provider Marine Traffic showed at least 30 other ships had cited their destination was Baltimore, the data showed. So, yeah, things are going to be hung up for a long time. I mean, they'll be able to clear the debris, so ships will be able to come and go from the port. But my God, what are wow, what are people over here who work over here? There's going to have to be some kind of ferry or something set up, some kind of temporary ferry or something. Hey, welcome back, Reach Trader. It's looking like more than 6 people, unfortunately, died, as I was trying to tell you there on Kick. But no, look at the situation. If you lived over here and you had to commute, this seems like a pretty big vein. This seems like a main vein here. I mean, you gotta go all the way around, dog. You gotta go all the way around. There is another bridge and 2 tunnels that will be used way more now. Oh, okay. So there's some tunnels or another bridge somewhere around here. Is it this bridge you're talking about? You still got to go way the hell over here, but there's a tunnel maybe underneath here. Oh, great. Thanks, Obama. Fucking great job. You know he's from Kenya. My uncle says. But no, I just wanted to give you a little update here. You know, unfortunately, there's still getting some people out of there. One survivor, tough as nails survivor. Literally, he's like, I'm done with this. I quit. Took his ass home. That must have been a crazy car ride home. He just gets in his car. He's dripping wet. Turns it on. Radio starts blasting. He just slowly turns it off and sits in silence. Ooh, what a day. Seeing if there's any funnier comments here. Yeah, so these idiots are already spinning up a conspiracy that it was a diversity hire that caused this, and yeah, so they're saying it was a diversity hire, the pilot of the ship, and my guess yesterday that the crew did everything they could was 100% accurate. These guys, they literally did everything they could to prevent this. Like I said, just total freak accident, And could have happened at any time of the day. Could have happened in rush hour traffic with hundreds of cars on here. It's a mile-long strip. So it could have happened at any time of the day, but it happened, early in the morning. So there's a silver lining there. Oh yeah. So here's evidence. Yeah, I had this video queued up. Here's Inside Edition. I watched one Inside Edition video last year, and now I get them all, dog. But they do news. It's crazy. It's funny when this like TMZ has a scoop that NBC has to report on. But anyway, here's some extra footage, and just the crew there. They issued a mayday. They did everything they could.
Twisted steel and concrete lie across the bow of the ship that brought the Francis Scott Key Bridge crashing down with a single blow. The huge 95,000-ton container ship Dolly lost power and propulsion before veering into a pillar, triggering the collapse.
What the f***? What the f***? What the f***? Entire...
Yeah, okay, one more time. We got to hear that reaction a little louder. I don't know who that is. I don't know. I think it's a guy in a boat because it seems like he was watching
and it. Propulsion before veering into a pillar, triggering the collapse.
What the f***? What the f***? What the f***? The entire bridge, the entire Key Bridge in the harbor.
In this eerie video, a searchlight scans the wreckage in the darkness as rescuers began the all-night search for the missing. Maryland Governor Wes Moore described how a mayday from the container ship just before impact alerted cops to halt traffic heading across the doomed bridge.
Between the mayday and the collapse, that we had officials who were able to begin to stop the flow of traffic, so more cars were not up on the bridge, which saved lives in a very, very heroic way.
Several vehicles, including this 18-wheeler, managed to make it across the bridge moments before disaster.
Yeah, but these guys up here are the ones that got the construction workers there that got
struck.
caught up in it.
But an 8-man construction crew filling potholes on the bridge was stranded. They and their vehicles can be seen plummeting into the river below. President Biden spoke out about the disaster.
If the fall
Everything
doesn't
so
kill you,
far
the debris
indicates
does.
that this was a terrible accident. At this time, we have no other indication, no other reason to believe there's any intentional act here.
Sure,
Dramatic
buddy.
video of the disaster shows the lights going out as the ship loses power for 30 seconds and it drifts toward the bridge. The lights come on again for a moment as power is restored, but it's too late to prevent the collision. Over my shoulder, you can still see wreckage from the bridge draped across that large ship. Now, we are getting indications that the 22-man crew on board did everything they could to prevent this disaster from happening, even thrusting the ship's engine into reverse. But the momentum from the giant vessel was just far too strong to avoid the collision. I spoke with CBS Evening News anchor Nora O'Donnell, who was also at the scene. Was it shocking to you that this all happened from one strike of that massive cargo ship?
Why do we? She wasn't there. She didn't witness it. She watched the video like everyone else. She doesn't have any unique insight. We're not going to go to her. Okay. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Is that sexist? Is that because did I do that because she was a woman? I don't. It's just, it could have been literally anyone, but it's just like, you know, let's cut to Ja Rule. Hey, Ja Rule, did you see that video of the bridge? Oh man, that shit was crazy. You know, it's like, okay, thank you. I tried to do the Ja Rule. He talks like the Cookie Monster. He does the grumbly thing. It should cut to me. On the scene at his house, Chem Goblin. Did you see that video? Oh, man, that shit was crazy. That's how you talk, Chem Goblin, right? Oh, shit, dog. All right. Yep, that's how he talks. Like a 70s stereotype. All right, guys. Slavoj Zizek, who, I don't know, is he a nihilist? Is he what's his, you know, what's his political views? What's his religion? You know, what's his philosophy on the universe? I don't fucking know. He calls himself a communist. Okay. Right. Well, there's a million shades of that, especially the smarter you get, the more specific you are about your flavor. So I don't know. I've listened to hours of this guy talk. I still don't know where. I don't know. Sometimes he'll say the most horrendous shit. Like there was one time he kept talking about rape and he kept smiling. I was just like, what is he talking about? Anyway, so I'm just saying I still don't know where this guy stands on a lot of stuff. I think he cares about humanity. I don't think he's a nihilist. I'm really looking forward to seeing if he brings up Batman. He's going to talk for 40 minutes. Let's see if he doesn't bring up Batman.
He's often been called the most dangerous philosopher in the West, locking horns with Dr. Jordan Peterson and captivating crowds.
See what I'm talking about? Anybody that I would respect wouldn't get up on stage with Jordan Peterson unless it was like a debate. But I don't know. I'm not going to shame by association.
Set out speeches.
Very similar to
His
this.
best-selling books span everything from geopolitics to psychoanalysis and popular culture, all with a controversial communist bent.
At the most elementary level, you are not bullshitting. You are an open mind.
What is your view about where we are with this war?
Piers
There
Morgan.
is no opposition. I agree with you. The West has to stop this ambiguous game, trying to support Ukraine, but not too much.
Yeah.
Some people
okay.
now claim
All right.
that
See what I'm
Hamas.
saying? Then he says shit like that, and I'm like, yo, dude, it's my dog. Maybe the stuff where I'm like, should I be offended by this or do I disagree with this? Maybe I'm just too stupid and I can't understand his accent. Maybe I'm just too stupid. I'm too dense to actually get what he's trying to say. That's what's going on. That's what's going on. I'm a fucking moron. That's it.
Is basically a armed resistance movement. In some sense, it is. Both sides have to accept they are condemned to live with one another there. If they don't do this, they will just be dying both. The problem with cancel culture is they're precisely excluding everyone who is diverse.
Slavoj Zizek joins Uncensored.
Really, we're going to talk about cancel
great
culture?
to have you.
And great to be with you. I'm really proud. You know why? Because although we probably don't share the same political view, I put it at the most elementary level, you are not bullshitting. You don't follow neither right-wing, not left-wing, woke dogma, and so on. You are an open mind.
Okay, open mind? No. But like I said, is Piers Morgan acting kind of like an anomalous and not following where people expected him to go with his past as a right-wing hack? Yes. Open mind? Oh, come on. Come on, Piers Morgan? All right.
More than ever important.
All right, I'm done pausing.
Well, thank you very much. And in fact, I was doing a lot of research into you, Slavoj, about your views about various issues in the news. And as I went down the list, I realised we pretty much agree on almost everything going on. And I realised then that I must therefore be the second most dangerous philosopher in the West.
Okay. I already hate this man.
I am not surprised by it, because to provoke you and our public now, you know how I define myself, quite seriously, moderately conservative communist.
Okay.
Don't go into panic. By communist, I simply mean I think that the present global capitalist system is approaching some kind of a crisis, environment, migration, and so on and so on.
He didn't say collapse.
That's all.
I agree.
A new practice of global solidarity will have to be activated.
Right.
But here comes the moderate conservative but. I'm extremely skeptical then to any proposed measures that we have. Democracy. People say we need authentic democracy. Sorry, I'm here against Lincoln. You know Lincoln's famous, you can deceive some people all the time, all the people sometimes, but not all the people all the time. Unfortunately, I think most of the time, most of the people are deceived. Second thing, freedom. What do you mean by freedom? Extremely.
So it's a moderately conservative opinion to think democracy is impossible and doesn't work. That's moderately conservative.
Skeptical then to any proposed measures that we have. Democracy. People say we need authentic democracy. Sorry, I'm here against Lincoln. You know Lincoln's famous, you can deceive some people all the time, all the people sometimes, but not all the people all the time. Unfortunately, I think most of the time, most of the people are deceived. Second thing, freedom. What do you mean by freedom? Let's take decolonization. Yes, I am for it. But as a leftist, I am obsessed by how things went wrong in many cases of decolonization. Take Uganda. You know that they voted a law a couple of months ago, which unanimously almost, which makes homosexuality punishable even with death penalty. And they justify this with rejecting Western culture, colonialism, or South Africa. One of my most depressive experiences. I spoke recently with a very gentle old lady, very high positioned in African National Congress, and I asked her, what's the real situation in South Africa? You know what she told me? Nightmare. She told me more and more among the poor black majority, the atmosphere which dominates is nostalgia for apartheid. The standard of living for the blacks was more or less the same, maybe even slightly higher as now, but there was, precisely because it was a police state, more public order, and so on and so on. These are the real problem. And I think the game that we should reject is blame the white. You know, oh, it's all effects of colonization. No, it's not so simple. The next thing...
That's the exact argument that I make as well. You can't ignore the influence of the West. You can't ignore the manipulation, but you also can't ignore the internal corruption of the leadership of your average African country. And I've shown hundreds of examples probably by now. Yeah, big room. He's saying there's yeah.
It makes me really dangerous, maybe, hopefully, I think, is, you know, maybe you know it, what's my favorite philosophical joke? You know, Niels.
I'm pretty sure I heard this guy talk. One of the things that pissed me off about Zizek is I heard him talk, you know, like about Stalin, like he was correct. I think that's okay. Things are starting to come back here. So if he doesn't like democracy, what does he want? Bolshevism?
Bohr, quantum physics, and so on. He had a house outside Copenhagen, and a friend visited them and saw a horseshoe on the entrance door. This is, with us in Europe, a superstitious object. Allegedly, it prevents evil spirits to enter the house. And the friend asked Niels Bohr, listen, do you believe in this?
I'm already lost. Hold on, sorry. I shouldn't have paused. Let's go back a couple more, sorry.
That we should reject is blame the white. You know, oh, it's all effects of colonization. No, it's not so simple. The next thing that makes me really dangerous, maybe, hopefully, I think, is, you know, maybe you know it, what's my favorite philosophical joke? You know Niels Bohr, quantum physics, and so on. He had a house outside Copenhagen, and a friend visited them and saw a horseshoe on the entrance door. This is, with us in Europe, a superstitious object. Allegedly, it prevents evil spirits to enter the house. And the friend asked Niels Bohr, listen, do you believe in this? This is bullshit. Aren't you a scientist? You know what Bohr answered? Of course, I don't believe in it, but I have it there because I was told it works even if you don't believe in it. Unfortunately, that's how all the democracy, legal system, human rights work today. Mostly we practice them, but we don't believe in them. We don't take them seriously.
If someone could confirm, if someone could please confirm if he hates democracy, could someone please confirm if this guy's a Stalinist? Please.
Yeah, I think you may. Listen, I don't think you're dangerous at all. Let me talk to you first about Ukraine, Russia. I had a guy called John Mearsheimer on recently who was arguing to me that Russia was provoked into this war, they shouldn't be blamed for it, and so on. I have a very different view. What is your view about where we are with this war?
This conversation is turning very bad because, again, there is no opposition. I agree with you, but what may be a surprise for you is that I agree with you as a leftist. That is to say, don't people listen, my God, to what
if he doesn't
Russia,
want democracy, what does he want?
Their official media, Putin, and so on, what they are saying. Some of my crazy leftist friends even claim, but nonetheless, Russia is anti-NATO, so it must be good.
Thank you,
Are they crazy? Look at whom Russia is supporting in Western Europe. Only the radical right-wingers, Le Pen, alternative for Germany in Germany and so on. Second thing, you know what Putin said on the day of the invasion, 21st and then 23rd of February, a year ago, or 2 years ago even. He said something terrifying. He said the true name of Russia should be Russia of Vladimir Ilyich Lenin. So he wants to take from Ukrainians something that only, paradoxically, I'm very critical of Lenin.
Sorry to pause. We're gonna have to. We're gonna have to back this up. But I just wanted to respond to Tisrael that yeah, my understanding of early Polish history is one of extreme brutality. The crimes that Russia committed against Poland. Yeah, I mean, there's plenty of documentaries about it, but I'm pretty sure they're legitimate.
2 years ago even. He said something terrifying. He said the true name of Russia should be Russia of Vladimir Ilyich Lenin. So he wants to take from Ukrainians something that only, paradoxically, I'm very critical of Lenin, the early Bolsheviks gave them. So this is clear for Putin. He's in no way a leftist. My God.
No.
He's a dark.
You see what I'm talking about? I have no fucking clue with this. I've listened to hours of this man. I have no idea.
Conservative, religious fanatic. That's why to provoke people, as you know, I think I said give even nuclear arms to Ukraine. As a leftist,
well, on that point,
I'm saying.
I'm sorry.
That only, paradoxically, I'm very critical of Lenin, the early Bolsheviks gave them. So this is clear for Putin. He's in no way a leftist, my God. No. He's a dark, conservative, religious fanatic. That's why to provoke people, as you know, I think I said give even nuclear arms to Ukraine.
Well, on that point,
I'm saying.
On that point,
we have to
Slavoy,
do everything.
Yeah, I think it was a terrible mistake for Ukraine to be persuaded to give up their nuclear capability, because it seemed to me that was just a green light to Putin to then invade them.
Only questions, Pipoka, huh? That's a little too convenient for me.
I mean,
that's a little too fucking convenient.
Okay, it's true that at that point, am I correct or not? I'm not sure.
Because you know what, Pipoka? When a right-winger comes in here and is just asking questions, they can suck my chode. You know what I'm saying? So why would I give that break to a leftist? You know? Another leftist who's really been pissing me off just asking questions, saying some crazy-ass shit, Yanis Varoufakis. What the fuck? I feel like I got the rug pulled out from under me with that guy. Have you seen his latest comments? Alice McGee, welcome back.
It wasn't yet Putin.
Sorry, I gotta quit pausing. Sorry.
To then invade them.
Back a little bit more.
Ukraine to be persuaded to give up their nuclear capability, because it seemed to me that was just a green light to Putin to then invade them.
Absolutely. I mean, okay.
He's right.
It's true that at that point, he's right. Am I correct or not? I'm not sure. It wasn't yet Putin. It was Yeltsin.
Right.
But they should have taken this precaution.
Yeah.
Because it's clear, here I disagree with Merzheimer, it's clear that it's not just Ukraine. It's clear that it began with Georgia, Crimea, Moldova, and so on. No, Russia is, they openly say it's in an imperial expansionist state, and I think the longer we tolerate it, the more horrible will be the final confrontation.
Yes. If history
That's
is a guide.
Incidentally, I read as far as I can their media. You know, I hope we agree also here. One of the most stupid,
Thank you, Ken.
politically correct pacifist saying is an enemy is somebody whose words you did not listen. No, sorry, I read Hitler, Mein Kampf, and after reading that, he was even more my enemy. So that's why I think we should read what horrors they are saying, Russian media. they have a full return to religious fundamentalism. They portray the war in Ukraine
100%.
as the war of Christian civilization against demoniac satanism.
I've shown plenty of examples.
I mean, they are no less than Arabs. They are today in the worst sense, fanatical religious fundamentalists.
Yes,
they have
there's
to
differences.
be stopped unconditionally. The West has to stop this ambiguous game of trying to support Ukraine, but not too much, so that we will not annoy Russia too much, and so that we will not hurt our standard of living too much. No, we are in an emergency state.
We need to
Europe.
sacrifice.
I
100%.
completely agree
100%
with you.
correct.
And I cannot understand, particularly can't understand.
It looks bad. When will we? I want knives.
We got our dick halfway in. What are we talking about? Escalation. What are we talking about? Escalation. As long as we don't bust out the chemical weapons and the nukes, right? Hello. Oh, what? Oh, the nukes are going to start flying if boots on the ground in Russia from NATO. Really?
We, Europe.
Let's test that theory.
I completely agree with you. And I cannot understand, particularly can't understand.
It looks bad. When will we? I want knives. When will we disagree? Let's go on.
Let's move to Israel-Palestine. I don't think we will here either, because you've taken a view of trying to see both sides of this, and that's made you unpopular with both sides. And I've done the same, where I try and look at it.
So I'm very sorry to pause, but this is a scene from a movie about World War II called The Darkest Hour, and this is an actor portraying Winston Churchill. Apparently, he said something very similar to this in the war room, and these words are very important. Yes, I know the history of Winston Churchill. I'm aware he's a conservative.
There's nothing heroic in going down fighting if it can be avoided. Nothing even remotely patriotic in death or glory if the odds are firmly on the former. Nothing inglorious in trying to shorten a war that we are clearly losing.
Losing! Europe is still...
Europe is lost. And before our forces are wiped out completely, now is the time to negotiate in order to obtain the best conditions possible. Hitler will not insist on outrageous terms. He will know his own weaknesses. He will be reasonable.
When will the lesson be learned? When will the lesson be learned? How many more dictators must be wooed, appeased, good God, given him mixed privileges, before we learn? You cannot reason with a tiger when your head is in its mouth!
And that is the exact scenario that Ukraine is in right now. You know, why? Of course, Russia wants peace. Russia wants to roll in there without resistance. Anyway, sorry for that interjection.
You've taken a view of trying to see both sides of this, and that's made you unpopular with both sides. And I've done the same, where I try and look at it fairly and understand the history, but also understand what happened on October the 7th, and understand the questions over proportionality of response and so on.
That's how I describe
What
Piers
is your
Morgan.
view of where we are with the Israel-Hamas war and what's happening in Gaza?
First, to clarify things, even if some people now claim that Hamas is basically a armed resistance movement, in some sense it is. But nonetheless, many of its acts, most of its acts, especially October the 7th attack, were purely, clearly acts of terror. You know why?
Yes.
I didn't know people there in that area attacked.
The exact point I make as well. Fuck, man. We're like, I don't know.
By Hamas, but I knew people who knew the people there, and they were shocked. You know that raving party, these were the most pacifist people in all of Israel, the young people. It was almost an act meant to be an act of solidarity with Gaza. The kibbutz Hamas slaughtered was a kibbutz well known for helping even have illegally people in Gaza all the time. So here things are absolutely clear. At the same time,
they gotta go.
I have big problems with this almost, I would say, pseudo-religious nationalism.
No, so far, Tisrael, like, you know, I just want clarification on the Democracy Party. He literally said, it's like he's responding to me. He's so smart. He's like going through all the, you know, disagreements, and you know, he's like going 300 miles an hour over here because he's already mentioned he doesn't like Stalin. So he's not a Bolshevik. So I was wrong about that. So it's just, I just want to know, you know, I don't know. I just want to know where I actually disagree with this guy at, I guess.
Even have illegally people in Gaza all the time. So here things are absolutely clear. At the same time, I have big problems with this almost, I would say, pseudo-religious nationalist twist by Netanyahu and especially some guys in his government who even use the terms Palestinians are like Amalek, those in the Bible, slaughtered, and so on. And especially, what's problematic with me is West Bank. There a slow colonization is happening. Now, on behalf of Israel, I admit one thing. The main culprit is...
Yeah, it shouldn't be happening.
The main culprit...
The main culprit is...
Yeah, it shouldn't be happening.
The main culprit is, don't you think... Yeah.
Oh, God. Oh, he's rimming me so hard right now. Okay, one more time.
Bank. There a slow colonization is happening. Now, on behalf of Israel, I admit one thing. The main culprit is...
Yeah.
Okay, on behalf of Israel, I admit one thing. The main culprit is...
Shouldn't be happening.
The main culprit is, don't you think... Yeah.
I just don't... I think what's happening on the West Bank is...
really surprise you.
Yeah. I just want to say, Slavo, I think that what's happening on the West Bank is actually... that's the one thing everybody should agree is completely wrong. You know, you can argue about the proportionality of Israel's attacks in Gaza, but nobody should be happy with what the Israeli settlers are doing in the West Bank. It's completely wrong.
Yes. Here's another $4 billion.
Now I will tell you something that will not shock you. You appear to me a more reasonable being, but what shocks many of my friends. You know who is, for me, at this point, the greatest voice of reason there? Two ex-Secret Service Israeli chiefs. Especially, did you read the interview by ex-Shin Bet chief, Ayalan? He said that the formula there is give Palestinians a hope, and that's the only way, long-term way to peace. And he even proposes a scenario. You have Marwan Barghouti, who is for 20 years in prison, had an aura of Mandela, but he is now, I know people...
I'm almost certain I've reported on what this ex-IDF guy has said before, because that sounds very, very familiar, how, you know, if we actually want to solve this problem, like it, you know, and I talk about this, how the only thing that defeats terrorism is a happy and healthy middle class. And he's saying, look, if you want to start reducing the violence, you know, start actually giving them a reason to hope, right? But of course, the main thrust of the Israeli government is annihilation, and it has been for decades.
That's the only way, long-term way to peace. And he even proposes a scenario. You have Marwan Barghouti, who is for 20 years in prison, had an aura of Mandela.
Thank you
but
again,
he is now, I know people who spoke with him, absolutely for a peaceful solution and so on and so on. So for me, the true horror is that Hamas and the Israeli hardliners are
in unison,
in a tango embrace.
Symbiosis. I've talked about this. Yes.
I think, and here I agree with Yuval Harari, when he speaks about the struggle of the two souls of Israel. This more open, pacifist soul. And here, I'm not a utopian. I'm not saying Israel should disband secret services. No, I'm not crazy. I'm just saying both sides have to accept that.
Yeah.
As Ireland put it.
Yeah, that's if an actual solution is what is actually wanted, is if that's what the actual desire is. But that's not the actual desire. I talk about this all the time, where it's like the solution. It's like we don't need Slavoj Zizek, as interesting as he is. I'm pretty sure I agree with him. As awesome as he is, right? We actually don't need him to solve these issues, because the people that are fucking everything up are well aware of the solutions. It's like it's this idea that we just need to frame it correctly. We just need to convince them in a way that will show them that it'll benefit everybody. They don't care. They don't care.
They are condemned to live with one another there.
Thank you,
if
Woke
they
Patriot.
don't do this, they will just be dying both together there. And it's incredible how in this sensitive situation you say things like this, and at the same time you, I mean me now, are attacked as anti-Semitic Hamas supporter.
Yes, yeah.
And from the other side in Al Jazeera there was a whole campaign against me that I am just a soft liberal Zionist and so on and so on. It's a very sad.
No, I think what? I think he's my homie, dude. I think because that's exactly where I'm at. Half the time I'm butting heads with the leftists in the chat. You know what I mean? And it's like, because there's a lot of legacy misconceptions, lies, and feelings, just as much as people on the right have taken their politics and ingrained it as part of their personality, that same phenomenon is happening on the left as well. And we're seeing a lot of this reflected in, opinions on social media and so forth.
Situation. As anti-Semitic Hamas supporter, and from the other side in Al Jazeera there was a whole campaign against me that I am just a soft liberal Zionist and so on and so on. It's a very sad situation.
Well, we live in a very strange world, don't we, where everyone is very tribal, is fueled by social media.
Not everyone.
You have to take a side. You have to be implacably on one side or another. And even if facts change, you can't change your opinion or support for your tribe, if you like. And
if you want to link to that documentary that Woke Patriot was talking about, I got it right here. I'm going to be putting it in the documentary section of the Discord. And goddamn, we're going to have to watch it. I mean, without a doubt, we got to watch this shit. Because I mean, he's saying it in a much more eloquent, even through all the mouth noises and barely I got to listen so carefully to get every word, but he's saying it in a much more eloquent way. He's so obviously brilliant. He's so beyond us, dude. It's like he's like a fucking X-Men over here. So anyway, there's the documentary right there. There's the link. Yeah, we're definitely going to have to do that. We're going to have to watch the whole thing. Back to it.
Well, we live in a very strange world, don't we, where everyone is very tribal, is fueled by social media. You have to take a side. You have to be implacably on one side or another. And even if facts change, you can't change your opinion or support for your tribe, if you like. And what that means is that free speech becomes under more and more threat because people dare not actually express their honestly held opinion. That's why you and I get attacked by people on both sides of a lot of these debates, because we refuse to be put into a box.
I agree, Kim. Yeah, Piers.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah, you're breaking the mold.
Those who are especially...
I'm not getting off Piers' nuts until he does a mea culpa on his fucking right-wing past. That's what a real open... You know what I'm saying? If I had a right-wing past, I'd have a segment I would do like every 6 months or something where I'd be like, okay, we're going to watch some of my old bullshit videos where I emulate Jordan Peterson because I was like a 20-something and I didn't know what I was talking about. Stuff like that. I'd call the segment "Keeping It Honest." Is Piers Morgan going to keep it honest about the fucking lives that he destroyed when he was making millions of dollars on mainstream TV? I'm not giving this guy a fucking break. not Piers Morgan.
By people on both sides of a lot of these debates because we refuse to be put into a box.
Absolutely. And I think those who are especially suffering or are affected by
Thanks
this
again, Woke Patriot.
is the so-called, let's call it, liberal, moderate left, with the madness of wokeism, cancel culture, and so on. Why? What, for me, the problem with cancel culture? It's evident to me as a philosopher. They preach inclusion and diversity. But what are they doing? They are precisely excluding everyone who is diverse, who doesn't.
In some cases, that's and the News Underground is not afraid to report on this. We absolutely have reported on these, black-only safe spaces in universities that it's like, aren't we trying to get away from this? Aren't we trying to get away from segregation? And there really isn't a lot of internal criticism, because it's a partisan battle. There's not a lot of internal criticism amongst the left about, well, isn't that authoritarian in its own way? Is that really the direction we want to go in? It's a great, it needs a new term because, woke, cancel culture, these are toxic terms that have been absorbed by the right and have been heavily weaponized. And the context, coming from Zizek here, it's like, I don't know. I guess I'm being too critical here, but you know what I'm saying? That it's like when we hear woke and cancel culture, we're thinking Joe Rogan and Jordan Peterson. He's thinking, authoritarian or counterproductive elements of leftist movements. Like if we actually want to get to equity, if we actually want to get to equality, the last thing we should do is, create race-only spaces, things like that.
Follow their line.
Yes,
exactly. And the situation is extremely annoying, because you even don't know the rules in advance, All of a sudden, for something, you can be cancelled. The rules
canceled. Once again, what are we talking about? Canceled. Who the fuck's been canceled? Steven Crowder canceled himself. He's slapping his nuts on his employees, and he doesn't know how to run a business. He wasn't. The liberals on social media didn't destroy Steven Crowder. So once again, what the fuck is canceled? What is being canceled? What does that even mean? So I'm a little bit troubled to hear him basically just take these terms from Jordan Peterson. But I would, if I was doing an interview, I would ask you, look, with all due respect, please define cancel culture for me. Like specifically, like, and give me an example of a person that, whose life has been destroyed by cancel culture, whatever your definition of that is. You know what I'm saying? It's just, it's a little nebulous. I don't know. Kissing Gonzo. I don't know. I agree.
You even don't know the rules in advance, All of a sudden, for something, you can be cancelled. The rules are not clear. So you know what this cancel culture reminds me of? This eternal joke, everybody knows it. A researcher comes to a lone tribe and asks them, do you still have cannibals there? The answer they get is, no, we just ate the last cannibal last week, That's what cancel culture is doing.
Yes, it is.
No, we have no male chauvinism, exclusionism, whatever here, because we just excluded the last one. That's the reality. That's the tragedy of cancel culture.
Yes.
I agree in principle with their goals, but generally. But the way they want to enforce their goals, the very way they do what they are doing, undermines.
Who's they? And the left isn't acting in unison. There's a lot of people that within the university on the left that disagree with race-only safe spaces. Just as that one example, who's they? We're not. The left isn't organized enough to have a they. We don't have a they. You kidding me? You get 100 leftists in the room, and there's about 100 different opinions about what direction the left needs to go in. They? Who?
Generally. But the way they want to enforce their goals,
strategy.
the very way they do what they are doing undermines what they are doing. It's a tragedy. And as such, they are giving arguments, energy to the new populist right. They fit
Twitter idiots? Who, man? Who?
it together. For me, the new populist right and this woke, politically correct, cancel culture left are simply two sides of the same coin.
I completely agree. In fact, I'm
shocked that Piers Morgan completely agrees, by the way. Honestly, though, come on, man. I need a little bit more, dog. Please tell me there's a 50-minute. Do I have? I'm not going to watch this. Come on. I can't watch a fucking debate with Jordan Peterson. Oh, my God. I'd rather debate a fucking Roblox than a fucking Roblox. You know what I'm talking about? Oh, man, don't make me watch a fucking Jordan Peterson. No, dude. What is he talking about? Who's they? What's woke? Who's cancel culture? What?
I would go further and say that they're basically both forms of fascism. And the irony about the woke left is that if you ask them what's the thing you hate most in the world, they would probably say fascism. And yet the way they behave in cancelling people for having opinions, in trying to destroy their lives, in cancelling history, and cancelling everything in life that people enjoy, is that they're behaving...
Cancelling everything in life that people enjoy. And Zizek agrees with this slop? This clown world nonsense? Excuse me, Piers and Zizek, but the left does not actually want to ban everything that's good and great in the world. What the fuck are you talking about? And could someone please define the left? Because goddamn, I really wish there was the left. Because then we'd have some organization. We'd have some actual structure to this shit.
Exactly like fascists would behave.
Here I completely disagree with you.
Finally!
Freudian slip.
Finally!
No. I agree with you. I would just be careful with the term fascism, because if we define fascism in a broader sense, not anti-Semitism, kill all the enemy, but the basic idea of fascism is, for me, we want modern technology, modernization, and so on, but we don't want the disruptive effects of freedom, liberalism. We want to control it by some central, national imposed ideology and some party. Then, you know how far I'm here ready to go. Take countries like Russia, like India, like Turkey, and maybe China itself. In some sense, this broad sense, not exactly Nazism, they are all moving in this direction of at least, if not more, soft fascism. Modernization, yes, but bridled, controlled by a strong centralized state and founded in some nationalist ideology.
But I would say you're not necessarily disagreeing with me, because I totally understand that is the definition of fascism. But the ideology...
Yeah, Piers, he's trying to say you shouldn't be, you know, you're not using the term accurately. I mean, come the fuck on. You know, a bunch of purple hairs at a college kicking out Ben Shapiro or Jordan Peterson from having a speech is not fascism. It's stupidity. USA banning TikTok is then soft democracy. Look, that's a whole other debate. I don't agree with banning TikTok. Just so you know, Pipoca, I don't agree with banning TikTok. I think it's a bit of a red herring coming from the neoliberals. But I would be okay with passing a law that says you have to tell us, you know, as a social media company, you have to tell us where you're getting your funding, and you have to, you know, put that on your, you know, somewhere on your logo or something. I don't know, some kind of regulation. I have no problem with that, because I do think people are kind of unaware, you know, where these monster applications are getting their resources. And also, I would try to pass regulations that say, if I'm using your social media and I request information on what you're doing with my data, where it's been sold, how it's being, where it is, I should be able to get that report. So that kind of stuff, transparency, right? Because shining a big bright light on TikTok and all of its bullshit would probably alleviate a lot of the chicanery that we see,
Ideology.
But I would say you're not necessarily disagreeing with me, because I totally understand that is the definition of fascism. But the ideology of fascists is that you will behave the way we tell you to behave, and if you don't, we'll kill you. Either in reality, we'll literally kill you, or in the case of the woke left, which Elon Musk calls the woke mind virus, we will kill off your ability to have an opinion.
Do I need to say more about Piers Morgan? Motherfucker's quoting Elon Musk like he's Copernicus. Motherfucker's quoting Elon Musk like he's fucking Socrates. Elon fucking Musk, the guy who shows his ass every single fucking day on his god-awful social media platform that he's cratering. Making cars ridiculous Homermobiles. Right? And I'm not giving him credit for SpaceX. Only goddamn thing he's done for SpaceX was buy it.
And if you don't, we'll kill you.
And the left doesn't want to kill you, okay? And comparing Nazis that legitimately want to kill you to purple-haired, hammer and sickle tankies. Oh, same thing. No, the fuck it isn't.
In reality, will literally kill you, or in the case of the woke left, which Elon Musk calls the woke mind virus, we will kill off your ability to have an opinion, and will ruin your life for having an opinion. That is the same kind of thinking of a fascist. It's you will conform to the way that I decide you will lead your life, or we will destroy you.
I got a million examples of the right doing exactly as he described. Do I need to go into them? Right? What has Joe Biden done to this man? What did Nancy Pelosi do to this man? This is what I'm talking about. He over here, I'm right in the center, dangerous philosopher. Meanwhile, you're quoting Elon fucking Musk, you right-wing hack.
I agree with you, but I would just add something, that there is another phenomenon in our Western liberal countries, a phenomenon which worries me even more. In marginal media and so on, you still can say important things, but in some sense, the effect is cancelled. Like, you can, up to a point, tell the truth about ecology, about I don't know what, but yeah, we all agree, and then it goes on. I know this because...
Oh no, you said a factual statement on the internet and a bunch of people who don't know what they're talking about disagreed with you? Were you canceled, Zizek? Do you need a fucking ice cream? I am shocked that a person as fucking smart as this guy over here nodding his head to fucking wank off artists like Jordan Peterson. He fully agrees, dude. He's completely installed this false narrative about wokeism. This is fucking nuts, dude.
I was years ago in psychoanalysis, diagnosed by obsessional neurotic. And I will tell you now a funny detail what happened.
What did he say he was diagnosed?
You can, up to a point, tell the truth about ecology, about I don't know what, but yeah, we all agree, and then it goes on. I know this because I was years ago in psychoanalysis, diagnosed by obsessional neurotic. And I will tell you now a funny detail what happened to me. I was talking during the session. There were short sessions all the time. Why? Because I didn't want even to give a second to the analyst to ask me some tough questions. So the idea was talk, not so that you achieve something, but to make it sure that nothing will change. And I think that, you know, a lot of today's tolerated criticism works like this. If you allow me, it's in my nature, in my genes, I cannot change it. A wonderful, I use it often, dirty joke, not too dirty still for the public, from I think even a pre-revolutionary
We're uncensored,
Russia.
you can fire away.
In medieval times when Russia was occupied by Tatars. Okay, a Russian couple, farmer and his wife, walk on the street. A Tatar comes on a horse and says, I will now rape your wife. But not only you have to watch it, you have to hold my testicles so that when I'm raping her, there will be no dust on my testicles. Okay, the Tatar does it, rides away. And then the farmer starts to jump out of pleasure. Ha ha, I won. The horrified wife says, in what sense? I was raped. The farmer said, but ha ha ha, no, his balls are full of dust, you know, like I didn't hold them. A lot of criticism, especially leftist criticism, remains at this level. Instead of confronting the true criticism, especially leftist criticism, remains at this level. Instead of confronting the true basic questions, we remain at this superficial level.
So, okay, what the hell is he talking about? Let me recap. He's basically saying the left is okay with vestigial victories. We're okay, you know, we cupped the balls, but we didn't do a good job. He's not incorrect. The left settles. The left capitulates, right? We're not fighters. And I talk about this all the time. We need to completely reverse that. We need to completely reverse this entire idea that the left is not patriotic, that the left is not pro-liberty, etc., etc. You know, leftists shoot back. That's something I say quite a bit. Leftists shoot back. We do. We defend ourselves. We defend our ideology. We know we have the moral high ground. And we're all too often, you know, and the, you know, the neoliberal, the entire neoliberal phenomenon in America is perfectly described with his dusty balls joke, right? We're okay. Well, yeah, well, you know, it's the lesser of two evils. You know, this first past the post. It's never going to get any better. Hillary Clinton, you know, settle for mediocrity, you know, embrace corporatism. It's never going to get any better than this. Yeah, the left has settled. So that's basically what he's saying with that joke.
The most fascinating revelation about you recently, Slavoj, was that you wrote a piece for the New Statesman explaining that Elon Musk had ruined your sex life. Could you explain that?
Back to Musk, really?
Of course, this is my typical rhetorical exaggeration, but I can exactly tell you what I meant. I developed this in a book that I wrote on dangers on what Elon Musk calls Neuralink. The idea of the immediate contact between our brains. First, my thoughts.
Are we really going to pretend like Elon Musk had anything to do with the development of Neuralink? Okay. Are we really going to pretend like he's Tony Stark and he's just, you know, really? You know, these scientists have names and shit. You know what I mean? It's like Alexander Graham Bell over here. Oh, that's a nice invention. Buy it up. Oh, what do you think about this, fellas? I just cooked it up last night. Elon Musk.
Dangers on what Elon Musk calls Neuralink. The idea of the immediate contact between our brains. First, my thoughts can be read by a computer. Computer is linked to your brain. So that's Elon Musk's dream. We even will no longer need language. But isn't sexuality,
I'm reading your comments,
something that needs language? All the flirting, the erotic games, and so on, thrive in this gap between what you can say, what you only hint at, and so on. Imagine what happens in this society where our brains are directly linked. I see somebody, a woman, a man, a they, I don't care whom I consider desirable. We just look at each other and if I'm lucky, both of us in our brain think, okay, let's do it, and we do it. I claim this is no longer sexuality.
Fascinating. Let me ask you about the most contentious debate in the world right now following the Oscars.
All right.
Which is Oppenheimer versus Barbie. I interviewed Werner Herzog recently, who said that he tried to watch Barbie. He got about half an hour into it and said he deduced that could it be that the world of Barbie is sheer hell? Would you agree with that? Which is Oppenheimer versus Barbie. I interviewed Werner Herzog recently, who said that he tried to watch Barbie. He got about half an hour into it and said he deduced that could it be that the world of Barbie is sheer hell? Would you agree with that?
I agree with him. But you know in what sense? It's sense in the sense that what I moderately liked about the movie was that it takes place among Barbie and other dolls and so on, and it's nice to fantasize about it. But in itself, this world is hell. And we know it. But the deeper question here for me is, why then do we need to dream about something of which deep in ourselves, we are well aware that this is hell? About Oppenheimer, and same with you, good guy. It took you half an hour. To me, it took 10 minutes. I couldn't watch it further. About Oppenheimer.
It's a very bad movie.
Yeah. You know what I didn't like in the movie? I liked all these political implications and so on.
Yeah, Leon.
Although I'm not simply even on Oppenheimer's side. I think that his idea that the United States should not further develop nuclear weapons because then Russia will, is simply wrong. Russia would have done it in any way and so on. But I like the political aspect. What I didn't like is this pseudo-Oriental Hindu depth of, Bhagavad Gita, all that stuff. And let me briefly explain to you why. This got me a couple of months ago.
He's talking about Oppenheimer, the movie. He's talking about the movie. Yeah, I haven't seen it, but I'm not that interested in Oppenheimer as a person. So I'm just, and I hear it's a pretty, it's a Nolan film, right? So it's like, I don't know. I'll probably just watch the nuclear explosion scene on YouTube one day, but that's about it.
In deep trouble in India. The first sexual act, Florence Pugh making love with Oppenheimer,
yes.
And he asked him or she her to quote, read Bhagavad Gita. Okay, Indians exploded. They said, sorry, this is our sacred book. How can you spoil it, putting it into such a dirty context of illegitimate sex? You know what was my reply? I agree with you, but in the opposite sense. You have a beautiful, loving sexual act, and you spoil it by quoting one of the dirtiest books of all the time. You don't believe me? Let me tell you a fact. Do you know that Bhagavad Gita was a favored book of Heinrich Himmler, the author of Holocaust, chief of SS. You know why? Yeah. He thought, in an ironic sense, ethically. His problem was this. SS officers and soldiers had to do horrible things, killing Jewish women, children, and so on. How can they do this without becoming bestial, brutal themselves? And his reply was, Bhagavad Gita, don't identify with your acts, act at a distance from yourself. So no wonder that some kind of this pseudo-Oriental thought is extremely popular among parts of the new elite. Like,
I see what he's saying. That this, it's this framework for a justification for acting like a monster, for being, brutal, and and finding justification, and that it's a way of separating yourself from your horrendous acts. So I see what he's saying, and I don't disagree. If you want an example, we could bring up Elon Musk, who doesn't do a lot of philanthropy. Jeff Bezos doesn't do a lot of philanthropy. They don't really believe in philanthropy anymore. They've adhered to this Ayn Randian philosophy of selfishness, and whatever framework they need to come up with to justify their greed and exploitation on millions. So I see what he's saying here.
You know you are doing horrible things, but you say, no, I'm just acting this is not the real me, and so on and so on. You see, but that's my problem with Oppenheimer. Less of that Oriental stuff of mysteries and so on, and more about political background and so on.
Yeah.
Fascinating. What is your view of Donald Trump? And do you think he's going to win back the White House?
Oh, God, please don't do this to me.
He can. But again, now you will see why here I get hatred from both sides. On the one hand, especially considering the global situation, I think Trump's victory would have meant that United States will become one among the so-called BRICS countries. And their formula, I'm opposed to BRICS.
Sure.
Their formula is, you have your way of life, we have ours, let's tolerate each other. We have seen what this means when Taliban won in Afghanistan. There was immediate peace between Taliban, the new regime, and China. The deal was, although you are Muslims, allow us Chinese to do what we want with Uyghur Muslims. We allow you what you want to do with women's rights, and so on and so on.
They want the lithium.
So here I have a problem, and so with Trump, let me tell you a joke which I constructed. It's a paraphrase of an old joke from communism.
Oh, God.
Imagine that. 3 big names in today's politics. Putin, Xi, the boss of China, and Trump are allowed briefly to confront God, and each of them can ask God a question.
All right,
First,
okay.
Putin asks, tell me what will be with my beloved Russia in next years. God says, looks bad. Not about Ukraine war, but you will be in a couple of years an economic province of China, basically economically colonized by China.
Sure.
Putin turns around and starts to cry. Then he turns to God and asks, what about China? Will we be so strong? God says, sorry, I also have bad news for you. Your economic miracle will stop.
Yeah.
You will either have to go to war to China, with Taiwan, new militarization, or you will have to rely to Taiwan for economic.
Yeah,
then
you'll have to
Trump
submit to the
says,
dollar.
oh, wonderful, America will remain. So what will happen in America if I am elected president again? You can guess my answer. God turns around and starts to cry. So what's my point here? I am not totally against Trump, because you know what you should never forget with all my critique of Trump.
Wow. This is I don't agree with him, but it does make you think. He's not wrong about Russia or China. The great miracle is the great farce. Evergrande is just the tip of the iceberg in China. Russia's heavily sanctioned economy is already starting to, it did really great last year because of the increase in oil sales. As I reported just yesterday, India is finally starting to pull back because of the sanctions that are being imposed on it. And India was one of the big intermediaries for Russia in selling its oil globally to the other, EU nations, including the United States. And yeah, if this were to continue in the next 2 years, Russia would likely have to depend more and more on China And yeah, some people are predicting that it might become an economic vassal. He's right about China. They're if they have to make a choice, either start doing business with Taiwan to solve their economy. That, I mean, apparently you can just lie about just make the numbers up and I guess get away with it. But the party has to end. A Ponzi scheme has to collapse upon itself eventually. At least that's what people are saying. And yeah, they'll have to make a choice: total war, or capitulation. And honestly, I just don't see China having it in them, because as much of the bluster as it is about the Chinese military, all the tech, it's a completely unseasoned military that doesn't. They don't do a bunch of foreign wars. They're not getting entangled. Their military would be completely green up against the United States, over here, fresh off the battlefield with Russia, using Ukraine as a proxy. But you don't think the military industrial complex in the United States is collecting all that data, using all that data to make their army stronger? You know what I mean?
That this Trumpian new populism didn't fall. Should never forget, with all my critique of Trump, that this Trumpian new populism didn't fall from the moon. It is an outcome, a result of the failure of the standard welfare state American left liberal society. Something went wrong there. And I think that that's the problem with Biden. I remember his inauguration. It was for me an utterly disgusting spectacle. It was a simple mistake. Let's return to the glorious American dream welfare state path. So that I think, although I don't fully agree with him, the moment of truth there at the inauguration was, you remember, Bernie Sanders sitting alone. He caught the show, Millions felt something is wrong in this spectacle. So the lesson for so-called democratic modern left in the United States from me is, don't just hit at Trump. Ask yourself what you were doing wrong, so that we have such a strong wave of populism.
This is literally exactly what I'm talking about. How, yes, of course, we need to push back vociferously against the fascistic right, but we need to change the neoliberals. We need to convert them into a real leftist progressive party for our own survival, because what has created the power vacuum that has allowed these fascists to rise, it's the failures of the neoliberals. He's 100% correct.
Because although I disagree with Trump, his basic idea that new mega corporations are controlling not only whatever remains of the working class, but also of, let's call them naively, small new creative capitalists, is in some sense true. This is why my leftist friend, with whom I don't always agree, but here I conditionally agree with him, what my leftist friend Yanis Varoufakis claims in his new book, Techno-Feudalism. These new mega corporations more and more resemble old feudal masters controlling a whole domain of our social life. So, the situation is here very complex. So instead of just criticizing Trump, let's ask, what did he perceive that the standard liberal democratic left is ignoring?
This has been fascinating.
No, that is exactly what I talk about. People shit at me all the time. Leftists, sometimes they hear me talk about the right wing and they think I agree, either with the neoliberal dogma or the, extreme left dogma, right? In some way, not extreme left. What the fuck is that even? But you know what I mean? Like the more vocal, left, the people with the hammer and sickle in their goddamn names, right?
Slavoj, I was going to ask you at the end whether you had any opinion about the royal family, given everybody else does right now.
Let's hear it. You got this far.
I'm not fascinated by them, but I can tell you something which may be a shock for you. This is my last text that I published, namely in defense of Hegel's theory of monarchy. Hegel, the great German idealist, defended monarchy not as a king with full executive power, but a king as a purely symbolic figure, which, just as Hegel puts it, signs his or her name, dots the I. This is important because without such a figure,
it's like the hood ornament on a fancy car, right? And that hood ornament is, this is the, it's a jaguar for a jaguar, or it's this, beautiful angel with wings going, extending past, for the Rolls Royce and stuff like that. It's a, he's talking about the royal entity being, in itself kind of like a flag or a sign, a symbol, a representation of the culture, society that's in it. And yeah, if there was ever one legitimate use for these ridiculous people that call themselves royal in the UK, it would be that.
On the top, you get the reign of experts, which is the worst thing that can happen. It's the end of democracy. So I think that, of course, we cannot return today to an old-style monarchy. But it's important that on the top of the state, there is, sorry for the expression, an idiot like we all ordinary people. He stands for us.
We don't need Zaphoid B-Broxes. That shows a lack of respect for human beings, quite frankly. We actually don't need that.
Yes. The paradox of a king, for me, a good monarch, is that he is like one of us. He stands there for common sense, not for some special knowledge and so on and so on.
Sure.
That's
sure. If that's what was actually happening, maybe in that hypothetical situation, yeah, sure, okay, right. But what's the point of that if he's just fastidial and doesn't have any power?
This sense, I see, crazy as it may sound, a potential positive role of monarchy. Today it's not possible, but there are other options like lottery and so on. So wouldn't that be interesting? A citizen king, right? Or just a citizen icon of the state, right? You literally picked at random some teacher, some construction worker, some programmer, right? Who gets to be at the very top, gets a bully pulpit, gets to do a speech like a State of the Union speech in front of all the government, right? That would be fascinating. That would actually be quite fascinating, right? So, yeah, different one every year. A teacher, like I said, a tradesperson, right? And sometimes a businessman, right? And it's not like they have power. It's not like they can make change, but they, all they have is the bully pulpit, and they can, because that would be something, especially in the Canadian Parliament, where the debate is theatrical. And it's like, can we get one regular Joe in here to give us, what we're all really thinking about this, right? That the persistence of monarchy signals a serious limitation of our traditional representative democracy. And again, let's not just dismiss it as a remainder of some reactionary past. Let's see why does it persist? What is no longer working as it should in our representative democracies?
Once again, Slavoj, I find myself nodding away.
He's a fucking genius, guys. Okay, look, I mean, you've heard my comments. I've interjected a billion times here. Thank you, Woke Patriot, for giving us additional information about his actual philosophy. He's not anti-democratic. That was just a misinterpretation of what he said at the beginning there. He did say anti-democracy, but he's a complicated man. Okay, as you can see by my hair. But no, that was great. That was really something else. And yeah, thank you again, Woke Patriot, for those documentary recommendations. We put them in the chat. We put them in the Discord. If you want to check out the documentary section of the Discord, we got it right here. Make sure you check it out. News Underground. And in fact, if you follow the news and you would like to be part of the News Underground, make sure you join that Discord and post links in the politics section. If I find it relevant to what I'm covering, I'll be sure to post it up and give you them props that you deserve. Yeah, thank you, Kissing Gonzo. Thank you, Chem Goblin. Thank you, Woke Patriot. Thank you, Davey, Lenny, Strategy Member. Thank you again, Strategy Member, for all your contributions in the Discord. I see you working hard there. Same with Woke Patriot, Chem Goblin, and Davey. Leon is also posting some links in the Discord. Big props to you. Ponder Monkey, welcome back. Thanks again. We got a new user. Thanks again for that follow. Pipplecut from 1998. You seem pretty damn cool. Hopefully we'll see you again here at the News Underground. Borderline Feline, you kick ass. Ribbons. Do I need to say more, right? Ribbons over here. Come on. If you hate Ribbons, then get the fuck out of here. Tisriel, you're great. Thank you so much. Once again, big props to Tisriel and Chem Goblin, our friends from Ukraine. Power to the Ukrainian people. Anybody else here in the chat? Let's see. We had Student Debt. Student Debt, welcome back. It's good to see you. I recognize the icon. Looks like you changed your name. We also have The Big Room. Welcome back to The Big Room. Thanks again. Alice McGee, thank you for coming back. Big props to you, Alice McGee. And that's all I got in the chat from I can scroll up there. No, thank you, Lenny. Thank you. If you know what's going on, you need to be subscribing to Lenny. That's all I got to say about that shit. Right on cue. Big props to everybody. I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. You were actually witnessing me enjoying something. That's what that looks like. I know. This is what I do to myself every single day. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. He's a fascinating character, that Slavoj Zizek. R.I.P. to the victims of the bridge disaster. And if there's any more information or news, I'll be sure to post that up and follow up on that. Folks, let's not forget, if you are interested in creating real political change, it's as simple as 1, 2, 3. Step 1, inform yourself. Step 2, join a progressive political organization in your area. Maybe it's a union. Maybe it's a politician that you like that's challenging the neoliberals while also pushing back against fascism. Whatever it is, you put your fucking name down. Because step 3, you got to put in the work, and you got to be shameless about it. This is what I stand for. This is what I fight for. I know I'm morally correct. I know giving health care to people is morally correct. I know giving free education to my fellow students is correct. Stand for that shit and fight for that shit. Because the fascists are fighting. Peace in that motherfucking Middle East and glory to the Ukrainian democracy. We're going to get them, folks. News Underground, baby. I am the motherfucking abandoned nihilism, aka the Harbinger. Readless motherfucking news channel on Twitch. Easy, bar none. You found it. Thank you.
Walking in the dark, I'm stressed as fuck. I can't feel nothing, man. I'm stuck and I can't get away. I'm done. Think this devil shit is on. Half these demons in my mind, they know this guy's just in my eyes. I try to cut them out into the sink. My blood is running dry. Leaking on the floor, I drag my feet up out the tub. I'm searching for one victim when the voices tell me get up, bitch. I got it, ain't no problem. Thinking what the fuck's my problem? Round my head up to the water. Why the fuck I even bother?